comrades, and welcome back to Ushanka Show. Здравствуйте, товарищи. In today's video, I'm gonna try to answer some of your questions. And if you think that some of the topics deserve better coverage, maybe the separate video, please comment below this video and we'll try to take care of it. Okay, so here we go. Ready or not? Question number 1 from Jan. What was the procedure in the USSR to get an apartment allotted to your family? In order to get an apartment, you first of all need to find a job that offers that type of housing. So usually, besides the question, what was the salary, the second question would be asked, how long is your waiting list for the apartment? For example, my father used to work at Kiev aviation factory that was making Antonov airplanes, and their waiting list for an apartment was 20 years. My mom's job didn't offer any apartment options. And of course, you need to remember that getting an apartment didn't mean that you're gonna own that apartment. It was pretty much subsidized, cheap rent, but apartment was always government property or that factory property. So if you ever need to move, you could not sell that apartment. You only could do the swap. Question number 2 from Dean Roberts. Love your videos. Have been looking for real life view of USSR for a while. This is really important stuff. And if not recorded now, it could be lost within generation. Keep up the good work. And his question, also, I'm a keen motorcyclist and I have always wondered about the desirability, I'm sorry, that's a hard word for me, ease of purchase in the view of motorcycles in the USSR. Thanks for the great content. This question probably deserves a separate video. Actually, I was planning to do something about motorcycles in the Soviet Union and started collecting a little bit of information. Now, there wasn't that much shortage of motorcycles, there was shortage of cars in the Soviet Union, so you didn't have to wait for a long time. We had available those heavy-duty motorcycles with a sidecar, like Ural type. So Ural and Dnipro, based on the BMW design. And quite a few people in our village had those. At least I remember 3, quite a few. I mean, we had like maybe 200 households and 3 motorcycles and maybe 1 car. Motorcycles were pretty expensive. Like a basic motorcycles outside car was around 1,000 rubles. So for example, if you make average between 130 to 150 rubles, you gotta work almost a year to make enough money to buy a motorcycle. One of the most coolest bikes you can buy would be one from Czechoslovakia called Java, Jawa, and I believe right now they make exactly style of like 60s in India. Company called Mahindra purchased the license from Java, and now they make that old-fashioned motorcycle in India. So that's pretty cool. And of course, motorcycles, it's a dangerous type of transportation, and a lot of young people died in accidents. And we also had a saying that if you bought Java, start digging a grave. Купил Яву, копай яму. Question number 3. Was there any birth control mechanism in the Soviet Union, and did the state encourage multiple births in the family? Well, like probably everywhere else, we had really crappy quality Soviet condoms or abortions, and abortions were extremely, I don't want to use the word popular, but widespread because a lot of Soviet men considered it's below their dignity to use condom, or they just have sex and that's the women problem to take care of if she gets pregnant. And since the housing situation was pretty bad, most people lived in a tiny apartment, 1-room or 2-room apartment. There were quite a few abortions because you don't want to have many kids. And I remember most of my friends were it's a single kid family. Some of them, so I would say maybe 70% of my friends was a single kid family. almost 30% two-kid family. I knew only one friend of mine had one friend that had three. There were three kids in his family, and the government actually was helping. They were getting like free lunches in school, so there was some kind of mechanism. They call them the hero mothers. If you have three kids or more, so government will be helping if you have more than two kids. But as I said, most of my friends in Kiev, Ukraine, and there were only single kid family or two kids families. Question number 4 from Alex. It's actually not really a question, but it's got pretty interesting comment. So unless you are rich in the US, you do a lot of things communally. You ride public transportation. Well, in Michigan, you still have to drive your own car because there was hardly any public transportation. Or ride a bike or walk, so you don't get to isolate yourself in a car. You have to get along with others. Going to the doctor, going to school, seeing the doctor once in a great while because you're not rich, and so on. It's all been done in groups. When you're a kid, you're sharing clothes and shoes. When you're on your own, you live in a rooming house. Again, the kitchens, bathrooms, all shared. You have to get along. Then, assuming you can go to college or trade school, even when you are done, you're where the jobs are, you're living with roommates. Now in California, people are sleeping in bunk beds because it's so expensive. What am I saying? I'm saying that most of US population is ready for socialism. They just don't know it yet. I guess you are a little bit too optimistic, I would say, because I recall several years ago, Chicago had so-called the Great Dig, I think it was called. They were repairing a lot of highways, so they closed a lot of roads, and people were forced to use public transportation to get to downtown Chicago, usually mostly trains. And I remember reading articles how upset people were that they couldn't use their own car. They had to use public transportation and share, car, train car with other people because a lot of them missed that, 30 minutes, hour. When you live in big cities, man, people waste so much time in the cars commuting that was their comfort zone, is to listen to the radio or music and sip coffee and sit in a traffic jam trying to get to work. And now they had all cuddled together with a bunch of other people in a train, and a lot of people were upset about it. So I'm not sure that most of U.S. population are ready for that kind of socialism. But thanks for your comment. That was pretty funny. Number 5. That's another more a comment than a question. I'm a year younger than you, and I am 48 right now. And allowing fathers to be with mother during birth is a recent thing in the USA. This was unheard of in the 70s. It was not until 90s when people our age first started to have children this really changed. Listening to experience of women my mother's generation, the childbirth experience sounds barbaric by modern standards. Times have really changed. So yeah, that's the comment about my earlier video about how I was born and my father wasn't in the room during the process, and it was quite a shock for me when my wife announced me that I must stay with her and hold her hand while she gives birth to our daughter. Yeah, that was quite a quite an experience, quite a shock to me. And the situation may change now in modern Ukraine and modern Russia, but it was always during the Soviet days, husbands, fathers waiting outside, waiting for results, and of course then their wives, their girlfriend showing the baby in the window. And we had a lot of jokes about, when the husband is too far away to see his kid, so he's yelling, "Whom does he look like?" And the wife slips and says, "Oh, you don't know the guy." So yeah. Anyway, so this is my comment about different policies about giving birth here in America versus what it was in USSR. And the last question for this video. I have a question. What did you feel when the USSR fell in 1991? Well, in 1991, I was 20. I was young, energetic, and I was very excited, as many of my friends, pretty much all the young generation, we were extremely excited about collapse of the Soviet Union. It was pretty much like getting out of the Moscow control and being independent, and we had a lot of hope. So yes, I was very excited, looking forward into my future and future of my newly independent Ukraine. And actually, I kept newspapers. I have quite a few issues of different newspapers announcing that historical decision of Ukraine becoming independent. But unfortunately, we managed to keep old communist leaders at power in independent Ukraine. And as you know, since 1991, how many years passed by, it didn't work out for Ukraine really well. It's the results of that becoming Ukraine independent, and it's really pathetic. Well, I hope you like this quick Q&A. And if you think any of these questions deserve more attention, please put the comment below this video. And we'll talk to you soon. До свидания. Goodbye. Hey, by the way, cool merch for cool comrades is available at the Ushanka store at teespring.com. And if you love my channel and would like to show your support, please click on the link below this video and become the patron of the Ushanka Show. For as little as $1, you can help us grow and create the new, interesting videos about the life in Soviet Union.